Once upon a time, there was a small village nestled between mountains and a dense forest. The village was named Samanpur, and its people were simple and hardworking. Among them lived a 12-year-old boy named Ryan. Ryan loved animals more than books. He would often sit for hours on the edge of the forest outside the village, listening to the birds and watching the rabbits eat grass. In that forest lived an old bear, whose name was Bola. Bola was considered the wisest animal in the forest. He was spending the last part of his life in peace when, all of a sudden, a commotion started in the village. People from the city had arrived with large machines and they began clearing a part of the forest. They wanted to build a resort there. Bola and the other animals of the forest were very distressed. Their home was being destroyed and finding food had become difficult. Bola gathered his fellow animals and said, "We must talk to the humans. Why are they destroying our homes?" But no one was ready to listen to him. "Humans only think of themselves," said a fox. "They don't care about us." When Ryan heard the strange sounds coming from the forest, he became worried. He saw the animals of the forest running in fear. He also saw Bola, filled with anger and distress. Ryan decided he would try to solve this problem. He knew that the resort would not only harm the animals but also his village because the forest kept their air and water clean. One morning, Ryan went towards the forest. He saw that the machines had reached the middle of the forest. He saw the water in a small stream getting dirty. This was the same stream from which the villagers also drank. Ryan saw a small deer who was thirsty, but it wasn't drinking the dirty water. He opened his water bottle for the deer and gave it a drink. The deer drank the water timidly and looked at Ryan with a sense of gratitude. Ryan realized how big the problem was. He returned to the village and told his grandfather everything. His grandfather, a wise and elderly man, said, "Son, these are city people. They see money, not nature. You can't stop them." But Ryan did not give up. He went to talk to the village chief, Sarpanch. The chief laughed at his concerns. "Child, you don't know the benefits of this resort. It will bring jobs to our village." Ryan was sad, but he didn't give up. He thought, "If humans can't understand, I will have to help the animals." The next morning, he started a campaign. He went into the forest and tried to befriend the animals living there. He would bring them fruits and bread. The birds, rabbits, and small animals started to befriend him. One day, Ryan saw Bola sitting on a rock in distress. Ryan slowly went to him and said, "Bola, I want to help you. I know your home is being destroyed." Bola looked at Ryan with his big eyes. He had never seen a human speak with such compassion before. Bola gestured to Ryan to show his problem. He showed him that there was a water shortage in the forest, and the water that was left had also become dirty. When Ryan saw Bola showing him the water shortage, he realized that if this forest was destroyed, the water reserves of their village would also be gone. He decided to warn the villagers about this danger. Ryan called the village elders to a meeting. He told them how the resort was making their water dirty and how in the future they could all fall victim to a drought, but the villagers were not ready to believe him. "What does this child know?" said an old man. "He's just telling stories about animals." The manager of the resort company also assured them that they would not have any problem with the water. He said they would install new water pipes. The villagers, blinded by the lure of money, believed him. Ryan's attempt had failed, and he was very disappointed. That night he was sitting on the roof of his house when an owl came to him. The owl made a strange sound after looking at him. Ryan looked into the owl's eyes and saw the same sadness he had seen in Bola's eyes. Ryan thought that maybe he couldn't make the humans understand, but he could help the animals. He went into the forest and told Bola and his other animal friends about his difficulty. "I have no way," he said. "They don't listen to me." Bola gestured with his head as if to say, "Don't trust humans now." He showed Ryan how the large trees being cut were making the land loose. "Rain is coming," Bola said. "If it rains, the water coming down from this resort will destroy our village." As Bola had said, a heavy rain started the next day. The rain was so heavy it hadn't happened in 4 years. The land that had been cleared for the resort had become loose. Soon, a big mudslide began to come from the forest towards Samanpur. There was a danger of a flood of water and mud. The villagers were sitting in their homes in fear. When Ryan saw this danger, He knew that they didn't have time. He called Bola and his other animal friends. "We have to warn the villagers about this danger," he said. "They don't listen to me, but maybe you can scare them." Bola listened carefully to Ryan. He gathered all the animals of the forest. The leopards, deer, and bears all began to move together. Before dawn, the villagers heard a strange sound. When they came out, they couldn't believe their eyes. Dozens of animals, including Bola, deer, and foxes, were running around the village. They were making such a noise as if someone was running them away from their homes. The villagers couldn't understand what was happening. Ryan looked at Bola. Bola gestured to him that the time had come. Ryan shouted, "Give way. These animals are warning us about the coming flood. It will reach here soon." Some people still didn't believe Ryan, but when they saw the fear of the animals, they began to doubt. Suddenly, a loud noise was heard, and a flood of mud and water began to come down quickly from the forest. Seeing the flood coming towards them, the villagers were surprised and panicked. Because of Ryan and the animals, they got a chance to leave the village quickly. Everyone began to run towards the high ground above the village until they reached a safe place. Looking back, they saw that the flood had submerged the lower part of their village. If Ryan and the animals hadn't warned them in time, they would have suffered a great loss. That day, the people of Samanpur learned a lesson. They realized that it was also their responsibility to save the animals and nature. When the rain stopped and the water receded, the villagers returned. They drove away the resort company and decided to protect the forest. Ryan had now become the hero of the village. He explained to the village chief that now they all had to work together to make the forest the way it was before. The villagers started planting trees on the land that had been cleared by the machines. Ryan and Bola now met every day. They had become the best of friends. Bola and the other animals also felt that their home was safe now. After a few years, that forest was green again. Now the people of Samanpur lived together with the animals of the forest. They didn't hunt them, nor did they bother them. They took care of each other. Ryan grew up to become the village chief, and he always maintained peace and love between humans and animals. In this way, a small boy and a wise bear together wrote a new story, where humans and animals lived together forever.